Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In honor of Star Wars Day, we are going to be ranking every Star Wars movie except for Ewok Adventures, Clone Wars, and the Holiday Special. And I have to admit, I have probably the most unpopular opinion on Star Wars movies, because I mean, my opinion of where I would rank certain Star Wars movies are pretty much extremely different than a lot of the other fans for Star Wars. So don't hate me for this, but this is my ranking. In the last place, we have the Phantom Menace. So I'm already not the biggest fan of the prequel trilogy because of its pacing and style. It's just really not my type of thing. And the Phantom Menace loses the thing that I like most about the prequels, and that's Anakin's struggle between the light and dark side of the Force. However, I do really like Darth Maul, and for a long time he was my favorite Star Wars villain. I also really like the pod racing scene with Anakin. I think it was really well done. The Phantom Menace isn't horrible, but if I had the choice to choose to watch any Star Wars movie, this would be at the bottom of my list. So, number 11 is the Phantom Menace. And then the number 10 spot goes to Attack of the Clones. You can guess I don't really like the prequels, but yeah. Attack of the Clones, in my opinion, is actually far better than Phantom Menace. It has some of the best and saddest scenes in the prequel trilogies, and when Anakin gets revenge on the Tusken Raiders because of the death of his mom, we also get to see the conflict in him start, and with the death of Jango Fett, for some reason that always made me kind of sad. And the movie started on a slower pace, I have to admit, but it really picked up quickly. So in 10th place goes to Solo: A Star Wars Story. I'm not the biggest fan of Solo. I mean, I really wish it could have been done better, but to me, it just really wasn't. So it had a lot of charm to it, but in my opinion, I would have preferred not to get an origin story. I would have maybe preferred just to get a quick adventure, or not a quick adventure, like some sort of adventure with Han and Chewie. I really don't like how they just quickly came up with how he got his name. I thought the plot twist with Darth Maul was cool though, but I wish they did more with that in other movies also, just so like we could have gotten like, you know, more about what he did after that. Also, this movie is very forgettable, to be honest. It's like not like I think it had one of the lowest box offices for Star Wars movies. Like, I know a lot of people haven't seen it and didn't see it. Yeah. But I will say one of the coolest things about this movie to me are the special effects behind the scenes, because the special effects, especially explosions, were actually mostly practically done. Compared to just completely CGI, they're mostly practical, which the visual effects team in Solo 3D printed a miniature replica of a mountain. They submerged it underwater, bombarded it with small explosives, and then filmed the results at 120,000 frames per second. So that's like the coolest thing to me, because that explosion that you see, like when they're flying away from the mountain and it has this massive explosion that goes out and then comes in, that actually was done underwater and filmed at 120,000 frames per second. Okay, next up, in 8th place, we have Revenge of the Sith. Sorry, but this is, to me, Revenge of the Sith is the best prequel movie. It features some of the most iconic scenes in all of Star Wars, with the gut-wrenching and awesome Order 66 scene, and the duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin on Mustafar. This movie is pretty good for the prequel trilogy, which I'm not a big fan of. For the prequel trilogy, but in general for Star Wars, to me, I'm not a big fan. I understand there are mainly two types of Star Wars fans. Typically, the people that think that the original trilogy are the best, and the people that think the prequel trilogy are the best. And typically for the people that think the prequel trilogy are the best, they have this at their highest ranking, and I agree with them that this would be the number one. So Revenge of the Sith at 8th place, Revenge of the Sith. And in 7th place, at number 7, we have an unpopular pick for me, Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I know this is unpopular because a lot of you are going to say, why isn't this lower? Some people might even say, why isn't this higher? But I understand this movie was very hated. Now, don't get me wrong, this movie does suck, but in my opinion, it's mostly because of what was before it. There was so much stuff that was featured and introduced in this movie that was never set up and never clearly explained. It was also the last movie in the Skywalker saga, and so many new characters and items were set up, and I feel like they were wasted because there's no other time to show them. Now, my opinion on how to fix it is, if Palpatine was hinted at in the Last Jedi and the Force Awakens, along with the new Force powers, it would have been so much better because it wouldn't have felt as random. Same with all the other new additions. Like, they should have been hinted throughout the first couple movies in this sequel trilogy. As a movie, the one thing it has going for it is that it's a lot of fun to watch, and it's really fun. And to me, that's what Star Wars is supposed to be. But besides that, I think it would have been great if it was just a movie, but sadly, it's like the conclusion of the entire Skywalker saga, and what came before it just kind of messed it up. So yeah, that's only in 7th place for me, sorry. So in 6th place, and number 6 goes to another controversial pick, The Last Jedi, which is by far, at the time, was one of the most hated Star Wars movies. Well, actually, it's just really a very vocal group of people that say The Last Jedi is the worst Star Wars movie ever and it ruins their childhood. And in my opinion, I strongly disagree. I actually kind of appreciate the direction they chose to take Luke Skywalker in this film. It added a sense of realism to him. And The Last Jedi is also one of the most visually pleasing Star Wars films, with the throne room sequence and the Battle of Crate. Some of the movie is a little repetitive, I will admit that, but I actually really enjoyed it. And there was a little bit of social commentary along the way, but it's not that bad in my opinion. Not childhood ruining bad, but yeah. The Yoda scene was actually really cool to me and visually pleasing. I kind of liked that because to me that's one of the most iconic shots. It's stuff of the sequel trilogy, and maybe it could be up there with iconic shots in the Skywalker saga in general. So, in 5th place, we have Return of the Jedi. In my opinion, Return of the Jedi is the perfect conclusion to the original trilogy. It has an epic beginning, and the action doesn't stop throughout it. It also introduced some of the most iconic creatures in Star Wars, the Ewoks. The ending was so emotional and well done, and that's what I was hoping the Rise of Skywalker could live up to, but it didn't. But, so, yeah. In number 4 spot, we have The Force Awakens. So, now I understand that this movie was pretty well received by audiences, but I also understand that most people wouldn't put it as high because a lot of people think that it's just a complete rehash of A New Hope. And I can understand why some might say that, but I think it brought more to Star Wars than just some rehash of The New Hope. The characters are fun and likable, and though the story is familiar, it's simple and gripping. And I must say, the death of Han Solo was so sad, but so well done. It's great. I also loved Kanji Club and the Guavian Death Gang. Even though they were underused, I think there's still a chance for a Disney Plus series about them. So yeah. So in my 3rd place, we have Rogue One. Goes to the 3rd place spot. So now I love Rogue One. This is the type of stuff I love from Star Wars, when they take risks. This movie adds to A New Hope and improves it greatly in my opinion. The movie has so many awesome and iconic scenes, like the hallway scene, which in my opinion may be the greatest scene in all of Star Wars. They have epic battles, and I love how when they use original characters and settings in this movie, it stays faithful to the original, but it looks like so much better because of the higher quality and everything. So 3rd place went to Rogue One, and the 2nd place goes to The Empire Strikes Back. Classic. I would say that for most people, The Empire Strikes Back is probably the most iconic Star Wars movie. I mean, it has the scene where Luke finds out Vader is his father, which also is one of the best examples of the Mandela effect, because everyone thinks that Vader says, "Luke, I am your father." But what he really says is,
"He never told you what happened to your father."
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
If I'm being honest, for me, there's not much to say about this movie because it's perfect, but in my opinion, it's not better than my number 1 spot, which goes to A New Hope. the perfect Star Wars movie in my opinion. A New Hope is my favorite Star Wars movie because the characters are just so entertaining to watch, and the story just flows so well because it's simple, perfect, and it makes you want to see what happens next. It also features some of the most iconic lines in Star Wars. Star Wars takes a lot of influence from old Western movies and shows, and I think you can really see that in A New Hope. It's an intergalactic Western adventure. That is my most likely controversial Star Wars ranking. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like this video, comment your thoughts, share, and subscribe. Have a great Star Wars day, and may the 4th be with you.